And one player waited until deadline day to make his decision. Kevin Huerter will be bypassing his final 2 years at the University of Maryland, keeping his name in the NBA draft, and potentially will become a first-round draft pick. Now, what does all of this mean for the Terps? Well, I don't have the answer, so I phoned a friend. Robbie Hummel joins us on the phone now. Robbie, what will the impact be for the University of Maryland with Huerter going to the NBA?
No, it'll certainly have an impact. I think you look at what he's been able to accomplish and what kind of player he is, and I think when you look at Kevin Huerter, you know that he's a little bit sneaky athletic. He's a little bit more athletic than maybe you think he is, and when you pair that with the fact that he can really make shots, I could see where going into the draft process, you could see him really showing out like he did at the Combine, making shots and feeling like I'm good to go to the NBA. As for Maryland, it's certainly a blow. I think the fact that Bruno Fernando is back, that certainly is a bright spot, but this Maryland team is going to have to reload, and Mark Turner's done a very good job. He's got a great recruiting class coming in. I think you look at a guy like Jalen Smith, he's going to have to really play major minutes coming in. You thought maybe he could be a guy that plays a little bit of a role. He's a McDonald's All-American, but now, Jackson's gone, Huerter's gone. There's some pieces there that are going to have to be filled in, and it's going to be I'm not going to say a rebuilding year, but certainly some things are going to have to come to fruition here as we head into basketball season.
And, of course, Turgeon very happy for him, knows this is just part of the process. Also, part of the process, some players go to the Combine and decide they want to go back to school. So you have like Charles Matthews for Michigan, Carson Edwards for Purdue, just throwing a couple of names out there. So when you hear those names, or just when you think about it overall, which team is in the best situation with players coming back after going through that draft process?
That's hard to pick just one. I like Nebraska's situation. I think with Copeland and James Palmer coming back, you have to think they are going to be a favorite to be a top 2 or 3 team in the Big Ten. Tim Miles has certainly done a great job in Lincoln, putting together his team. They bring a lot back. I think Carson Edwards coming back for Purdue is big. He'll probably be the preseason Big Ten Player of the Year. You look at Michigan State, Nick Ward coming back, or even Iowa. There's a lot to like with who's coming back. They got to start defending, but you like the pieces. So picking just one, Elise, is going to be hard. But I like a lot of the situations with these Big Ten teams.
Sometimes it is. You can't pick one. I get it. I've been in that situation. But you did mention one team that I want to kind of go with here for a second, and that was Michigan State. You said Nick Ward coming back, but you have players like Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson leaving. One name that you didn't mention in there, Cassius Winston, we know he's coming back. Is there potential that Michigan State could actually be a better team this year, maybe talking chemistry-wise and looking at leaders, even losing guys like Bridges and Jackson?
Well, they're certainly not going to be more talented. That's 100% not going to be the case. But they could be a better team. I think you look at what Michigan State was last season. They never really put it all together. They always had some sort of issue that was holding them back, whether it was the slow starts where you're down 26 points in Evanston and you come back with a furious rally and win the game, or you turn the ball over 25 times and still find a way to win because you're so talented. They just never were able to put it together. So, well, I'm going to definitely go out and say, no, they're not more talented than they were last year. That they could be a team that maybe meshes better together, and they still have talent. You said it. Cassius Winston, Joshua Langford. Now you got Nick Ward back, and Tom Izzo has a ton of guys that can play underneath that got minutes last year. I think a Xavier Tillman type name comes to mind when you think about that. But there's always talent in East Lansing, and you got a Hall of Fame coach, so you have to think they're going to be a team that's in the top 3 as well in the Big Ten.
Probably still in a pretty good position. Now, I'm curious to learn from you. Also part of this process we've been talking about, you go through that 4-day combine and then you end up going back to school. Who do you think could be better, actually take the next step in their game, like we've seen from Mo Wagner, Caleb Swanigan? Anyone this year stick out to you that actually could be better after going through the combine process when maybe we didn't even see it coming?
I'm gonna go with Tyler Cook. I think he's shown flashes of being a guy that can dominate in our league, and with his offensive capabilities, you know that he can really go out and get you probably a 20-10 type performance every night in the Big Ten Conference. So I think if you're an Iowa fan with Isaiah Moss and Tyler Cook coming back, you have to like it. But offense isn't their issue. It's gonna be, can they guard, and can Tyler Cook make a conscious effort to guard in the post and be that guy that can kind of be a stalwart and anchor that defense at the rim.
Narrowing it down to one. See, you can pick when you need to, Robbie. Thank you so much for the time. We know you're a busy guy. Appreciate the feedback.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me on.